I got questions all over the place. Spring football, spring camp opening up. I'm just going to start with Notre Dame. Why? Well, because I ranked them number 1 in February, so why not start with Notre Dame? I do not see big questions with this team. Marcus Freeman may, and even if he doesn't, he'll lie about it and he'll say they do have big questions. But the one thing that I will say is at the wide receiver position, I think they'll be as good there as they've been under Marcus Freeman. Will they be dynamic enough to win a big game down the road with the wide receiver position if they need to? Everyone's going to focus on losing the 2 big tailbacks. I think they'll be okay. They'll be a lot younger and less experienced. I think they'll be good at tailback. I trust them implicitly at quarterback. The wide receiver position, Faison and Greathouse coming back from injury, Mylan Graham and Porter, the 2 they got from Ohio State. I mean, those are 2 quality players that just kind of fall in your lap. I mean, you had to effort going and getting them, but Brian Hartline leaving at Ohio State opened the door where you could do that. How dynamic is that room? It may end up being one of the best receiver rooms in the country for all we know, but we're not used to saying that about Notre Dame. So that's kind of, I don't know, as we start spring ball, that's something that I'll keep an eye on. Speaking of Ohio State, this is the second year, kind of the second year where Ohio State on paper has to replace a lot defensively. I'm actually more concerned about them this year than I was last year. Now, Matt Patricia came in and worked what on paper looked like a miracle. And so I'll always trust Matt Patricia, and I trust Ryan Day, and I trust Ohio State to have a pretty high floor when it comes to what we're going to be dealing with there. But they've got to hit with transfers at several of these positions because you have one wave of attrition, that's one thing, but then you have a second wave right behind it. It's Styles, Caleb Downs is gone, Orville Reese is gone. It's tough to lose guys like that and one-for-one replace them. Now, what you can do, because it's a football team, not a unit, is, hey, man, what if Ohio State offensively just revs it up another gear? Well, I guess you don't have to be quite as dominant defensively as you were last year. But I'm also looking at the schedule this year, and it's a little different animal than what Ohio State normally faces. Starting with a week 2 trip to Austin, Texas, you're going to go to Iowa, you're going to go to Indiana, you're going to go to USC. You got Oregon at home in early November. So, man, it's going to be fun to watch. But defensively, I wonder, what is the max potential of that team? We won't learn that in spring. We'll start to get some indications in spring. Indiana just won the national title, so they won the Big Ten. They won the national title. They won the whole thing. There's a lot of roster churn at Indiana. Now, I think a lot of people will probably get amnesia, and as much as Curt Cignetti just taught everyone, including me, a lesson, I think some people will forget the lesson. I think some people will look at Indiana and say, all right, they did it once, they'll never do it again, and the doubt will creep back in. I've immunized myself from that because when you throw on a clown nose after you pick against someone 4 or 5 times and they prove you wrong, you don't forget. So I won't forget the lessons I learned from Indiana, but I think some may. And here's what I'll say about those questions. All right, if you look at having to overhaul the skill group, yeah, that's valid. If you look at the recruiting profile, if you follow rivals' recruiting rankings and you say, boy, when Ohio State wins a title, they've always got a bunch of top 10 classes to backfill with. When Alabama does it, when Georgia does it. But Indiana, they haven't recruited at that level. And they did finish very high in the transfer portal rankings, but it wasn't a quantity class. It was a quality class. So they've got to continue to be the best eval and development program in America. And they've also got to deal with the bullseye on their back. And there are things called the consequences of success that as much respect as anyone, including me, could have for Curt Cignetti, they haven't dealt with at this level. They haven't dealt with this combination of churn and then expectation, so kind of setting in simultaneous. Now, what you got to love is the staff continuity. Hey, do me one favor right here. Look down. Are you subscribed to the channel? If you are, thank you. If you're not, please click subscribe. It helps us keep the show free and free of corporate interference. All right, that's it for me. Back to the clip. I mean, they got maybe the best coordinator combo in America, and somehow through a cheat code they kept them. That's not supposed to work that way, but it did. So there's not really a specific thing that I'm looking for at Indiana. It's more in totality. Maybe we'll even get up there this spring. Maybe. Texas Tech. Now look, Texas Tech went to the playoff last year. They dominated the Big 12. They lost some cornerstones on defense. These are some big-name players. Romello Height is gone. Lee Hunter's gone. Bailey's gone. They lost big-time players, and The thing is, I don't doubt they're totally comfortable that they backfilled properly, and they've earned the benefit of the doubt. But what they didn't do is they didn't go raid the rosters of a lot of top teams. They went and evaluated, and they went and got the best players off of some G5 teams and maybe some second-tier Power 4 teams, which is totally fine. It's not like that can't work. For all I know, they may have a better team this year than they did last year. I think at quarterback, they absolutely upgraded. But defense wasn't the issue last year. And so you circle it right back to Brennan Sorsby at quarterback because both of those running backs return. And the other thing that they did last year, so effortless, well, it seemed effortless, it wasn't effortless, is they brought in a bunch of new guys from the portal and they just immediately got it. It's like you didn't have to go through several introductory rounds of, like onboarding and here's how we do things here. Everybody just kind of got it. Well, will they duplicate that every year? You start to feel that a little bit. Because I remember talking to Joey. I remember talking to a couple of guys on that staff in spring last year. We were out there and they were adamant. Hey, this group's got it. We just got it. Now, I was sitting at a table with Joey McGuire a month ago, and I said, hey, that thing, that little vibe that you told me last spring, you can't just take that for granted. He said, that's the biggest challenge we have right now, is reminding everyone that just because it happened one year doesn't mean we have a patent on it. We start from scratch. You hit the reset button, and of course your record is 0-0, but also you've got to build a new team. Always interesting, the external dynamics there. What about Miami? On paper, so this right here, when it says you have to replace 4 or 5 offensive linemen, that's normally a big-time concern. I'm going to call it a mild concern, only because of the whole benefit of the doubt thing. It heavily tilts towards Alex Mirabal and Mario Cristobal just knowing how to put an offensive line on the field, and they're relying on a bunch of in-house products too. They didn't go search far and wide in the portal to just basically put a strip of masking tape over that unit on the program. No, they trust the guys that they have there. And then on the other side, you got Bain going to the draft, Mesidor going to the draft. Now, Damon Wilson came in, and he'll be a guy that should be plug and play, but are we looking at Marquise Lightfoot? There are a couple of other options there. Do they have, let me rephrase, they probably don't have a pair that just pound for pound have the impact that Bain and Mesidor did. But again, these are like chunks of clay, football teams are. And so when you take some from here, you can add some from over there. In the aggregate, you just hope to be able to put a playoff caliber product on the field, a championship caliber product on the field. Also, I would like to talk about Oregon because I don't have a ton of questions about them other than O-line. Now, if they don't have it, they don't have it. If Oregon does have it on the offensive line, this team may win a national championship this upcoming year, which I know Dan appreciates on March 8th. But D-line, DB, loaded. Offensive line, they lost 3 of 5, but I feel okay about them there. But that's the big question mark because they are relying on their guys. This time last year, it was Isaiah World, it was Pregnon, it was guys they were bringing in from the portal because they didn't think they were ready. Well, now I think they think they're ready there. And again, quarterback, check. Wide receiver, check. Running back, check. There's not a big question mark elsewhere on this roster relative to the rest of the country, except the offensive line position. So that's what we're looking at there.